While the entire world has its eyes locked on the chaos unfolding between the United States and Iran, something absolutely devastating is happening on a front that almost nobody is talking about. Ukraine has gone on an absolute rampage against Russia's war machine, and the results are nothing short of extraordinary. We are talking about the systematic destruction of the very things keeping Vladimir Putin's forces in this fight. Russia's air defenses, its drone operations, its missile production capabilities, and its logistics networks have all been torn apart in a campaign that is quietly rewriting the rules of modern warfare. And here is the number that should stop you in your tracks. 105,200 Russian targets destroyed in a single month. If that doesn't get your attention, what happens next certainly will. That staggering figure comes directly from the Commander-in-Chief of Ukraine's armed forces, General Oleksandr Syrsky, who confirmed that Ukrainian forces struck 105,200 Russian targets during the 28 days of February 2026. Break that number down, and it comes out to roughly 3,750 targets destroyed every single day. That is an almost incomprehensible pace of destruction, and it reveals something critically important about how Ukraine is fighting this war right now. Drones have become the absolute backbone of Ukraine's military strategy, and Ukraine is wielding them with a precision and ferocity that Russia simply cannot match. Now, Ukraine struck just about everything Russia had to offer during February, and we'll be covering strikes that carried into March as well to show just how expansive Ukraine's target list has truly become. But there is one specific category of target that Ukraine pursued in February that deserves particular attention because it strikes at the very foundation of Russia's ability to maintain pressure on the ground. That category is drone pilot positions, meaning the human operators behind Russia's drones. Here is why that matters so much. Russia's drones play a massive supporting role for Putin's ground forces on multiple levels. On one end of the spectrum, you have the long-range Shahed-type attack drones battering Ukraine's cities and military infrastructure deep behind the front lines, sapping morale, destroying supply chains, and depriving Ukrainian troops of the equipment and support they need to hold the line. On the other end, right at the front, Russia is deploying FPV and reconnaissance drones to conduct raids, establish kill zones, and make it incredibly dangerous for Ukrainian forces to move, reposition, or resupply. The beating heart of Russia's entire drone operation is its pilots, the people sitting behind the controllers. And in February, Ukraine figured out something critical. Stop targeting the arrows. Start hitting the archers. General Syrsky himself made this point crystal clear. He acknowledged that destroying every single FPV drone Russia puts into the field is simply not feasible. In a Telegram post announcing the February numbers, he noted that Russian forces have now acquired the ability to produce over 19,000 FPV drones per day. If that number is accurate, and there is good reason to believe it is, it represents a massive leap over the roughly 2 million FPV drones Russia was believed to be building across all of 2025, which worked out to approximately 5,500 drones per day. Trying to shoot down every one of those drones as they flood the battlefield, the math simply does not work in Ukraine's favor. But what Ukraine absolutely can do is go after the people flying them. Even the most advanced FPV drone in the world still requires a human being behind a controller to guide it to its target. When Ukraine takes out a pilot position, it doesn't just eliminate one drone from the fight, it takes hundreds, if not thousands, of FPV drones out of commission in a single strike. Without an operator, those drones are nothing more than expensive hardware collecting dust in a warehouse. And when those strikes are precise, it isn't just positions being lost. Pilots go down at the controls of their drones, forcing Russia to scramble to find and train replacements. Training a competent drone operator takes time, and that is time Russia simply does not have when it is burning through manpower at this rate. Russia has been desperately trying to scale up its drone operator corps. According to Syrsky, Russia was planning to increase the number of unmanned systems troops in its army to 101,000 members by April 1st. So, one of the most significant things Ukraine achieved in February was sending a clear, unmistakable message to those pilots. who typically operate well behind the combat lines where they assume they are safe, that they are not safe. Ukraine can find them. Ukraine can hit them. And Ukraine can neutralize an entire stock of FPV drones without ever having to destroy a single one. It is a devastatingly efficient strategy that goes right for the throat. A similar logic applies on the long-range drone front. When most people think about Russia's Shahed drones, there is a natural assumption that all of them are being launched from deep inside Russian territory. And while many certainly are, one of the critical advantages that occupying large portions of Ukraine grants Russia is the ability to fire those drones from much closer to their intended targets. A Shahed drone launched from occupied Crimea, Luhansk, or Donetsk has far less distance to travel than one fired from inside Russia proper. That means less time in the air, fewer chances for Ukraine's air defenses to intercept it, and a significantly higher probability of reaching the target. Taking out over 4,000 pilot positions in a single month strikes directly at that advantage and sharply degrades Russia's ability to exploit the territory it occupies. On the production side, Russia was manufacturing around 30,000 Shahed-type attack drones per year as of September 2025, according to United 24 Media. In January, Syrskyi stated that Russia's goal was to reach the capability of launching 1,000 attack drones at Ukraine every single day. Russia is not quite there yet, and the ongoing conflict with Iran may have thrown a serious wrench into Putin's plans, given that Iran likely still provides key components for Russia's domestic Shahed production. Yet, Russia is still unleashing massive drone swarms on a regular basis. During the same February in which Ukraine destroyed 105,200 targets, Russia launched 5,590 long-range drones into Ukrainian territory, a 13% increase over January. Russia also set a new record for missile launches that same month, and we will be coming back to that shortly. With the heart of Russia's drone operation shredded, did Ukraine slow down and take a breath? Not for a single minute. The Kremlin may have hoped for some reprieve, some breathing room to reconstitute and recover. Putin's forces on the ground were practically begging for the strikes to stop so they could regroup, but Ukraine kept the pressure on relentlessly. Strike after strike tore through Russian positions during the first 12 days of March alone, and what follows is just a sample of those attacks. Let's start with air defenses, because they are crucial to understanding the bigger picture. On March 12th, Kyiv Post reported on comments from Robert Brody, the head of Ukraine's unmanned systems forces. He confirmed that Ukraine destroyed 19 elements of Russia's air defense network between March 1st and March 12th, including the notable takedowns of an S-300 system and one of Russia's Tor surface-to-air missile units. He shared footage of these strikes in a nearly 4-minute video posted to Telegram. In the footage, the same devastating pattern repeats over and over. A Ukrainian drone acquires a target, closes the distance steadily, and scores a direct hit. In many cases, Ukraine follows up by sending additional drones to film the burning wreckage, providing undeniable visual confirmation that the target has been completely destroyed. The Tor system was taken out near Berdyansk, in the Russian-occupied portion of the Zaporizhzhia region. Known to NATO as the SA-15 Gauntlet, this Soviet-era short-range air defense system was originally designed to intercept helicopters, aircraft, and cruise missiles at close range. Russia has repeatedly promoted the Tor as being effective against Ukrainian drones, but the fact that those very same drones found it, targeted it, and destroyed it tells a very different story. This system carries an estimated price tag of $25 to $27 million per unit. Its failure to defend itself against the drones it was supposed to counter proves it is simply not as capable as Putin desperately needs it to be. The S-300 system that Ukraine destroyed was located in occupied Luhansk near the settlement of Borovenki. Another Soviet-era platform, the S-300 is commonly used by Russia to provide mobile air defense coverage for troop formations, important military facilities, and logistical hubs. Ukraine has been systematically targeting S-300 systems for over 4 years, and this March strike is simply the latest blow in a deliberate, sustained campaign to dismantle Russia's air defense network from the ground up. According to Ukrainian figures, 1,332 Russian air defense systems have been destroyed between the start of the full-scale invasion and March 14th. The reason Ukraine targets these systems so aggressively is straightforward. It needs to carve open, safe aerial corridors through its own territory and through occupied zones to enable deep strikes into Russian-held regions and into Russia itself. That may not surprise anyone who has been paying attention to Ukraine's deep strike strategy. But what might surprise you is that a large number of Ukraine's long-range attacks actually fail to reach their targets. Euromaidan Press reported back in December that Russia's air defenses were managing to intercept 90% of Ukraine's incoming drones and missiles. That is a formidable interception rate, but it also means that 10% are consistently punching through, and Ukraine looks at those numbers and sees a staggering amount of money, resources, and irreplaceable drones being wasted on strikes that would absolutely succeed if Russia's air defense network were sufficiently degraded. Hence, the relentless campaign. What Ukraine is trying to achieve in 2026 is an operational environment where a far higher percentage of its long-range strikes successfully reach their intended targets. If Ukraine can accomplish that, the consequences for Russia's front lines would be severe. Ukraine's strategic target list includes drone pilot positions, oil processing infrastructure, ammunition storage depots, fuel supply chains, military repair facilities, and all the other critical components that keep Putin's army operational. Remove enough of those components, and the entire Russian front weakens dramatically. There are also Russia's deeper structural air defense problems to consider, and these are significant. Sanctions have severely damaged the Kremlin's ability to manufacture replacement air defense systems at any meaningful rate. A December article from Kyiv Post highlighted that Russia's inability to source certain key electronic and mechanical components represents the single biggest vulnerability in its entire defense network. No components means no new systems, or at best, replacement systems being assembled at a rate far too slow to offset the ones Ukraine keeps destroying. Supply chain failures have forced Russia into an impossible strategic dilemma. It can either strip air defenses from positions inside Russia to fill the gaps Ukraine creates at the front, thereby leaving Russian territory more exposed, or it can leave those gaps open and accept that Ukraine's strikes will grow more effective over time. Kyiv Post even suggested that Russia may be just one well-placed strike or one well-timed sanction away from permanently losing the ability to produce any more S-400 systems, which would remove one of the most important pieces of military equipment from the entire conflict. Either way, Ukraine comes out ahead. The safe aerial corridors it needs are steadily opening up, enabling even more devastating strikes against Russia's forces and its broader war machine. Ukraine also went after Russia's logistics networks in March with punishing effectiveness. On March 12th, Ukrainian drones destroyed a fuel and lubricants train in the Dovzhansk sector of the Luhansk region. That same day, Ukraine wiped out an ammunition warehouse in occupied Luhansk, destroying thousands of artillery shells stored inside, and took out a repair unit belonging to a Russian artillery brigade in Yakovivka in the Zaporizhzhia region. It was a devastating day for Russia on multiple fronts simultaneously. The fuel train strike was particularly significant. Taking fuel away from Russia's forces means their tanks and armored vehicles cannot move. It means mobile artillery pieces and air defense systems suddenly become stationary, which transforms them into sitting ducks for follow-up Ukrainian strikes. With lubricants also destroyed, Ukraine eliminated a critical component used in the routine maintenance of Russian military equipment. Without proper lubrication, engines wear out faster, mechanical failures become more frequent, and equipment breaks down in the field at the worst possible moments. Even if Ukraine cannot stop every piece of Russian equipment from functioning, it can force a cascading degradation that makes that equipment far less effective and reliable than Putin's troops need it to be in active combat. This strike also showed Ukraine taking a page directly from Russia's own playbook. Both sides understand perfectly the critical importance of logistics in sustaining a modern war, and specifically the essential role that railway networks play in keeping armies supplied. Approximately 90% of Russian freight is transported by rail, and that figure applies to military supplies every bit as much as commercial goods. If Russia's troops want fuel, ammunition, spare parts, or lubricants at the front, those supplies almost certainly need to arrive by train. Russia has been exploiting Ukraine's similar dependence on rail by systematically hitting bridges, rail yards, and trains to disrupt Ukrainian logistics. On find March 12th. The very same day Ukraine hit back with the fuel train strike, Ukraine's national railway company, Ukrzaliznytsia, reported on a fresh wave of Russian attacks on its infrastructure. Ukraine's response was pointed, precise, and powerful. This logistics war cuts both ways. Somehow, it gets even worse for Russia. With the heart of its drone operation gutted and its belly torn open through strikes on logistics and air defense nodes, Ukraine also delivered a massive blow to Russia's missile production capability. Earlier in March, Russia launched another combined missile and drone strike against Kyiv. What made this attack stand out was the use of a brand new missile type, the Iskander-SD. Tentative designation. This weapon has a range of approximately 1,500 kilometers, roughly 932 miles, and can deliver around 800 kilograms of explosive payload. According to United 24 media, Russia has been launching these missiles from Su-34 fighter jets operating from within Russian territory, making it an extremely dangerous new addition to Russia's arsenal. So Ukraine did something about it. On March 10th, Ukrainian forces used a Storm Shadow cruise missiles provided by the United Kingdom to strike the Kremny microelectronics plant located in the Bryansk border region. 7 Storm Shadow missiles rained down on the plant's main production facility. The extent of the destruction visible in post-strike photographs strongly suggests that the Kremny plant has been effectively knocked out of operation, and with it, Russia's ability to produce the specialized microelectronics required to build its newest long-range missile. This strike powerfully underscores how vital it is that Western nations continue authorizing Ukraine to use the weapons they provide against legitimate military targets inside Russia. What we witnessed here was Ukraine attacking the missile brain of Russia's entire strategy. Heart, belly, and brain all struck. The implications of that strike are enormous given the scale of Russia's ongoing aerial campaign. Colonel Yuri Ainat, head of the communications department of the Ukrainian Air Force, laid out that scale in stark terms on March 9th. He noted that Russia has been deploying significantly more ballistic missiles throughout the 2025-2026 period, stating that there were approximately 18 massive combined strikes during winter alone, and that the use of missiles flying on ballistic trajectories has increased dramatically compared to earlier phases of the war. The hard numbers support his assessment entirely. In February 2026, Ukraine absorbed a record-breaking missile barrage. Russia fired 288 missiles into Ukrainian territory that month, averaging just over 10 missiles per day. According to United 24 media, Russia had not launched that volume of missiles into Ukraine since 2023, signaling a clear strategic shift toward relying more heavily on its most destructive aerial weapons as 2026 progresses. At least that was the plan. With the Kremny facility now reduced to rubble, production of at least one of Russia's missiles, its newest and most capable one, will have to grind to a halt. When you step back and add everything together, the picture is absolutely staggering. In just over 6 weeks, 200-plus targets destroyed. In February alone, 4,000-plus drone pilot positions eliminated, 19 air defense systems torn apart in the first 12 days of March, and a fuel and lubricants train destroyed deep in occupied territory, an ammunition warehouse leveled with thousands of shells inside, a military repair unit wiped out, a microelectronics plant. Essential to Russia's newest missile program reduced to smoking ruins that is an extraordinarily successful month and a half for Ukraine. And the message being sent to the rest of the world is unmistakable. While everyone else has their eyes locked on Iran, Ukraine is quietly, systematically, and ruthlessly dismantling the lifelines of Russia's war machine, one devastating strike at a time. Make no mistake about it, these strikes are only going to intensify as 2026 moves forward. Ukraine has been rewriting the rules of modern warfare, developing capabilities and weapon systems so advanced and innovative that they have genuinely never been seen before in the history of armed conflict. The pain for Russia is far from over, and what comes next could change the trajectory of this entire war. If you want to stay informed about what is happening in this conflict and understand the strategies shaping its outcome, subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Check out our latest video for even more detail on the extraordinary new capabilities Ukraine is bringing to the fight. More pain is coming for Russia, and you are absolutely going to want to see what happens next.